The Semitist Michael S. Heiser did his PhD thesis on the divine beings of the Bible, and he has spent his academic career specializing in the subject. He's well recognized as a leading scholar of ancient Israelite divine council theology. In this video, I'll be presenting Heiser's case that the snake in Genesis 3 wasn't a literal snake, but a serpentine divine being. The first step to understanding what Genesis 3 is doing with the serpent is to look at the word the author selects for the creature. So Heiser begins by examining this word nachash, spelled nun chet shin. There are actually three different ideas that can be circumscribed by these consonants. If we supply the vowels forming a noun, it refers to a snake. However, as a verb, nun chet shin forms the root of a word for deception or divination. Switching the vowels to get nochesh, you would get the diviner. Third, as an adjective, the word nachash could substantively mean the shining one. It's the root adjective for the noun nachoshet, which 140 times in the Bible is specifically used of brass, a shiny metal. In 1 Chronicles 4:12 we read of Ir Nachash, the city of brass. Or for example, Moses is raising up the Nachash HaNachoshtan, the bronze serpent in the desert. Heiser believes Genesis 3 is using a triple entendre. It looks like with the serpent in Genesis, all three connotations are at play. The serpent is a deceiver and seems to hold certain divine knowledge, but we often also don't realize how frequently divine beings in the Bible are also described as shining or luminous. For example, our English word Lucifer is the Latin Vulgate translation of a Hebrew term meaning light bringer, sometimes translated day star in Isaiah 14:12. In Daniel 10:6, a derivation of Nachash is even used to describe the gleaming appearance of a divine being. Again, in Ezekiel 1:7, we read that the cherubim divine beings, quote, gleamed like polished brass. Our next point of interest is Isaiah 6. This is where things start getting interesting. Isaiah describes a terrifying vision he had of the throne of God, and around that throne, vocally praising God, were winged creatures called seraphim. In Hebrew, the lemma seraph literally means he burns or it burns, often translated as fiery, again putting us in touch with this connotation of luminosity. But strange enough, seraph is also a run-of-the-mill noun for snake. In fact, the Hebrew noun derives from the identical Egyptian noun for snake. What makes the case of the seraphim in Isaiah so interesting, however, is that in the archaeological record we actually have Judean drawings of these creatures from Isaiah's period. So what you're looking at here are Hebrew engraved seals that have been collected into a book by the great Swiss scholar Othmar Kiel. There's one of these seals, however, that is especially significant to our investigation. Benjamin Sommer at Jewish Theological Seminary has specialized in biblical texts describing theophanies like Isaiah 6. He states that this seal, quote, portrays Yahweh symbolically as a sun disk wearing a crown, a typical representation in Israelite Judean art. Yahweh is thus portrayed as king, and surrounding him are the seraphs. Quote, the text on this seal states that it belongs to a courtier of King Ahaz named Ashna. In light of the similarity between the seal and Isaiah 6, it is worth noting that Jerusalem in the 8th century was a very small town, that both Isaiah and Ashna lived during the reign of King Ahaz, and that Isaiah enjoyed very close connections to the royal court in which Ashna served. See Isaiah 7-9. Consequently, it is inconceivable that Isaiah and Ashna did not know each other. So due to the linguistic evidence, the function of the seraphim, and the fact that we have in the archaeology a depiction of these creatures belonging to one of Isaiah's co-workers, scholars have established that the divine beings praising God upon his throne in Isaiah were probably serpentine. Snakes were often positively associated in ancient desert culture with divinity and wisdom for many reasons.